Hey, Tony, why are criminals afraid of crypto?
Good question.
Because he can be pretty rough. Here we go. Just like John's Comics with Kids says, it's the greatest DC comic show on YouTube. You found Fanboys Live in the Retro Review. Thank you so much for joining us. John is here for the big announcement, which is coming in just minutes. We are not going to make you wait too much longer, and it's a big announcement. But first, on behalf of Tim the Comic Collector and ComicFoo 2814, who are not here tonight, we welcome you to today's show. Signature King Tony is here with us, the Royal of Foils. How are you?
I'm great. Nice and chilly out.
Chilly? That sounds good.
Bit of snow. Nothing to hang out with. But oh yeah, chilly. Yeah, especially when it's chilly out.
Yeah.
I love chilly when it's chilly.
Yeah, I like chilly anytime.
Absolutely. But yeah, just extra long weekend. I don't go back to work until Wednesday.
Oh, get out of here. It's a solo show from now on. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the big announcement.
Yeah, that's it. I don't go back to Wednesday. Thanks for coming, everybody. No, so it's yeah, I've had off from Thanksgiving Day until next Wednesday. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do any comic reading, any comic hunting, any comic anything?
Lots of comic stuff. And there's a clue in my background.
Comic stuffing, he said. That's what he filled his turkey with. Stuffing! Yeah. Was it stovetop?
No, it was Black Friday.
Oh, Black Friday.
Black Friday.
Let's look at that background a little bit better and see what we see back there. I see, it looks like Clorox wipes.
Yep. Definitely doing some sanitizing this time of year.
Okay. All right. Well, cool.
Yeah.
We welcome everyone to the show. If you're watching on the rewind, welcome to you as well. So far, John's Comics with Kids is in the live chat with us, and I think it's turning into just seconds away right now. So, Tony, in some of my favorite comic books, and I'm wondering if there's some of your favorite comic books as well. You know, I like a lot of team books, like Justice League and Teen Titans and Legion of Superheroes and Batman and the Outsiders, books like that, you know? And a lot of times in those books, they get a new addition to the roster, you know? And I always think those issues are pretty cool. Don't you think it's time that the fanboys need some new blood?
Absolutely.
So that's what we've been kind of talking about. And it leads us into our big announcement. There is so many fantastic people that are in this YouTube comic book community, and so many fantastic people that have agreed to be guests of ours on our show. And so we had a lot of options to work with. But one that we really came up with and thought this would be a good idea if we could persuade this person to join and become a fanboy.
And Kevin Smith said yes. Bring him out. No,
Bring him out. There he is. So we've got a new fanboy starting tonight that's going to be with us monthly. At least one appearance a month, usually on our first show of the month, of each month, is when you're going to find this fanboy. It is with great pleasure that we welcome our latest fanboy, silver-haired Bronze Age babe. Hi, Sarah.
It's me. It's me,
you.
everybody.
It's really you.
It's really me.
The ratings are going up already.
As we can see.
Yes. The show improving.
Well, welcome officially as no longer a guest, but a reoccurring fanboy.
Recurring fanboy. I am, Ryan asked me this week, and I was immediately, yes. And then he said, you don't have to do it every week. And I said, okay. Because I can only stay up so late on a Sunday night. So once a month, you will, whether you need me or not, I'm going to show up on the Fanboys. So I am thrilled. I love being on this show. I love
Thank you.
Playing with you guys in the comic book little mosh pit we've got going here. And,
Yes.
Hold on, I just lost 3 subscribers.
Sorry.
Sure, that's just a fluke.
Yeah, you like me so far.
Well, it's great having you here. You have your own spot in the playground now, and your own toys that you can bring to that spot. And we're so looking forward to your insight, your comments. Some of my favorite streams have been ones that you have been involved with. So welcome. And this is
said the same thing to me when I joined.
I wasn't on this show when you joined.
Yeah, I know. And you bring a certainly different perspective just in the collecting part of it.
Absolutely.
You know? And your collection is, everyone has their own unique collection, but yours is very unique.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, and I think given the times that we all started collecting and what we're focused on, I really like the balance. I learned tons from you guys, and that's what I'm looking forward to the most, is to do some retro reviews of books that may be old to you but are brand new to me, because what do I know? So I think it's going to be a blast. Thank you so much again for asking me.
Absolutely. So welcome.
Yay!
Yeah. So, Mr. Tony, what's going on with DC Comics news?
We are a mere 4 days away from the premiere of Creature Commandos,
which is the first Gunn DC EU project.
Oh, that's why it's a big deal. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's already striking controversy.
Uh-oh.
Already.
What's going
hasn't
on?
Even launched. And it has to do with Frank Giello's character, Rick Flag Sr. Because, remember, the characters that are appearing in the animated series will be being live action at some point. And we get our first taste of that, of Rick Flag Sr., Frank's character, in Peacemaker 2, his first live action appearance. In the animated, everything that we've seen so far, here's the conspiracy. His hair is white. In Peacemaker, his hair is black. But James Gunn did address this and had a very logical explanation. He was on Collider doing an interview less than 48 hours ago, and this question got brought up. And his explanation was, whoops, you're right. Because Frank was appearing on Tulsa King, where he had to look a certain way contractually, and at the same time, while he was free, he filmed the Peacemaker stuff, and they couldn't change his appearance, but didn't bother to fix it in the animated part. He said, I'm sure they'll fix it later.
They'll fix it in post, as they say.
Well, it's too late now. We're days away. But I wasn't aware that was a problem going forward in the DCU. But you learn something new every day. I mean, I'm a huge fanboy and a big nerd. Wouldn't have noticed. I certainly wouldn't have noticed. And if I did, I probably wouldn't care. And if I was like James Gunn, let's say, he's the god of the current DC universe. You're really going to ask God? That's your one question you're going to ask? Hey, how come his hair is a different color?
Welcome to comic book world. Really.
And it's like, oh my gosh.
If there's a nit to pick, we'll find it.
So absolutely.
And that's really all the news we have. They had that.
Didn't I hear that there was some talk? There's already been some talk saying that studio executives are not happy with the Superman trailer that's about to drop this month, supposedly. And James Gunn has already had to go in and defend this and say that's not true. That's just chatter that you're hearing. I read that this week. I also heard that he talked a little bit about Wonder Woman, and he doesn't feel that Superman or Batman need to have origin movies because everyone knows it. However, Wonder Woman is a different story, he said, because she's had so many different origins that there's not so much a definitive one. So probably when he gets around to Wonder Woman, it will be an origin movie.
I could understand that. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
So, Sarah, do you follow, and you too, Tony, but knowing Sarah's a Superman fan, do follow the Superman Museum's Instagram on Metropolis, Illinois?
I just found it.
You did? Okay.
Yeah, because actually I was, as part of my project of like getting rid of some comics, I was like, I wonder if they accept donations. You know what I mean? But it's a really fun little feed that they've got going there. I kind of want to go to Metropolis, Illinois, and
did you reach out to them about donations?
Not yet. I haven't gotten around to it yet.
Just curious what their policy would be.
So
it looks kind of crowded. It
does.
You know, but I don't know if they have kind of special, you know, exhibits or something. You know.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but
so I mentioned it because they recently, and I forgot to mention this last week. We had a lot of news actually last week, but they've recently brought this original sign back to outside of Metropolis. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, and I think that's a Neil Adams Superman.
It sure looks like it to me.
Yeah,
you know,
that's I think one of his. So.
Yeah.
On my recent adventure, it was probably like 2 years ago at this point, where I drove from Oklahoma all the way to Pennsylvania. I wanted to stop in Metropolis so bad, but I had to choose between dinner at ComicFoo's house and stopping in Metropolis. And unfortunately, I stopped at ComicFoo's house.
Free dinner, do it. You know,
it was worth it. I got to see the food cave, but oh man, I could see the signs. They had these attractions. They're like this exit, and I was like, oh gosh, come on.
So it's my understanding that this used to be the sign that they had like back in the Bronze Age of comics outside of Metropolis. And for whatever reason, it went away. And now it is back. And something else that they brought back, and this literally stopped my heart when I saw it, because I had that toy when I was a little kid. And now it's a real one.
Nice.
Oh, man.
I've never wanted to go and have my picture taken next to a vehicle unless it was like the Batmobile or something. Except for this.
Yeah. Sweet.
That's awesome. Now, if you saw that like on the side of the road with a big for sale sign in it, would you buy it?
If I saw it on the road, I would follow it no matter where it went.
Well, that's a felony.
Not the first.
Not the, you know. I have some a bit of Superman news.
Tell me.
Oh.
Tomorrow night is the last final episode of Superman and Lois. The
That's right.
Show. Mm-hmm. I have really loved for the 4 years that it's been on. It's been a really sharp, wonderful show. And yesterday I was poking around on the internets, and I believe it was Threads. And somebody on one of the comic book article sites had written a really lovely piece about how Elizabeth Tulloch, her portrayal, the writing and her portrayal of Lois Lane in that program is really outstanding, because it's kind of the first time that she's portrayed as an adult of a certain age. She's got children, she's married, she still has and just how Elizabeth Tulloch has really brought home kind of a nice new, almost definitive Lois Lane. And so I piped up on the response. I took a picture of one of my Lois Lane, Neil Adams signed books, and posted that and said, this old Lois Lane fan totally agrees. Great writing, great performance. I'm going to miss the show. And guess who liked that comment? That would be Elizabeth Tulloch.
Wow, that's awesome.
I know.
Now you got to get her on the show. That's up to you.
Yes, now that you're a fanboy, your first task is to get her on the show.
Okay.
By next month, we'll be fine.
Okay. I'll get on it.
She's got time.
Yeah, I'm giving her till next year.
Well, what is Bitsy Tulloch working on? Nothing.
Exactly.
We know she's not on Superman and Lois.
Exactly. That's awesome. So I have met Mr. Superman from that show. Tyler Hoechlin. I've met him face to face. There's a photo of us together. He was awesome.
I would hope so. God.
Now, he's not as big. When I say big, I mean like tall. He's not as tall as I expected him to be. I expected Superman to be like really hovering over me, you know? He's not even 6 foot.
Wow.
No, he's really in shape.
Yeah.
Which you have to be. But, you know, I was expecting like a chest, like a billboard, you know, kind of like Henry Cavill, you know? He's really in shape, though, but he didn't have that. And he was so nice, and it was such a great experience.
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear it, because, you know, you hate to have someone that you're looking forward to meeting and them just being kind of a jerk.
Yeah. I have also met other Supermen I have met. I've met Tyler. I've met... I have met Brandon Routh.
Oh, neat.
I have met... I met one more.
The young one from
Tom Welling.
There you go.
Tom Welling,
yeah.
Yes, and I have the same birth date, not same year, but same birth date as Tom Welling.
Well, why don't you get him on the show?
That's your next time.
We're like this. We're not like this. We're like this.
More like this.
Yeah.
My good friend Tom.
I love how she threw that back at me. She's so perfect for the show. So
yeah, you know, going back to Tyler Hoechlin, he looks like a baseball player. Like his
he kind of does,
is like a baseball player. He's, you know, looks really strong, but he's kind of slender and boy is he good in this. I mean, I remember him from Road to Perdition when he was a kid. So he just both of those two just brought that show home in such a great way.
What I like about him, some actors that have to do dual roles are a little bit better at one than they are the other, but I think he's equally as good as a Superman and as a Clark.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm going to miss the show. I will be in official mourning tomorrow all day prior to it, you know, airing.
Isn't that the last of the CW verse?
Yep.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it.
Bronze Age Brian has a little Superman connection.
Wow. That's nice. Talk about side door to fame.
Yeah.
Bronze Age Brian, you have a new assignment.
Yeah. Get the Ouija board made by Parker Brothers.
Get him on the show.
And I have met, I met one of Superman's daddies, and I've talked to another one on the phone and interviewed one. So I have met John Snyder, who incidentally fed me a French fry. Different story. And
wow.
And I interviewed on the phone Kevin Costner.
Oh.
So
nice.
I have met, and when I met John Snyder, I had a Superman lanyard on, and he was commenting on it. I said, "It's your son," and he goes, "It's my son, because it's my kid."
Well, I heard Kevin Costner ain't up to too much. He quit that show Yellowstone, so.
Well, then you could get him on, Tony.
Nah, he knows. You got a connection. You got him in. What am I supposed to say? I saw you on TV? Yeah, me and 500 million people.
I was just rewatching, man. We channel surfed last night, and it was on HBO.
Okay.
And you know, I'm a big Russell Crowe fan, and I really liked him as Jor-El. I thought that was.
I did, yeah. They almost made a prequel with him.
That would have been
Man of Steel. Yeah.
Oh, on fire! Would have loved it, but.
And before
anything I would like, they're not going to do. So, you know.
Before we get into the retro review, I'd like to ask both of you, who do you think would be a perfect Superman villain in a movie that hasn't been utilized?
I think a lot of people are going to default to Brainiac, but I feel like that's not a solo Superman tackle. Because of all the stories that I enjoyed with Brainiac, it's been Superman plus the Justice League. But if we're talking just someone Superman would have to fight, that's tough. Metallo?
I like Metallo a lot too.
Yeah, that was the name on that I was thinking too, just because his origin story is more interesting, and a little sad. So,
Hey, Gore's here, and he says Tentacle Brainiac.
Yeah, I would save Brainiac for a big Justice League event. Not necessarily a solo Superman movie. A Cthulhu Brainiac. Yeah, why not? Yeah, with Metallo, I thought they were going to do Metallo in Batman v Superman. That guy who got his legs amputated.
Yeah.
They could rebuild him with, Kryptonite. He could have been Metallo. Maybe I don't know, but yeah, I'd vote for Metallo. Superman solo movie.
I liked Parasite too.
Parasite's a good one, and he doesn't get thought of a lot.
No. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Bizarro maybe, but that would have to include Lex Luthor at some point.
Yeah.
And Bizarro has been
Mongol,
part of the TV show a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And,
that's right.
Yeah. Which I thought they've done very well because I've never really liked Bizarro. But
what's the point? You're not supposed to.
Yeah.
They did a great job.
I hated him. Perfect.
I remember Bizarro in the old Superpowers cartoon in like 83, 84, and he duplicated all of the Super Friends, and Wonder Woman's earrings were tennis balls. Classic.
What was that sci-fi show? Krypton? It was like
Krypton, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They did a really terrible Doomsday on that show. That was like the worst Doomsday. It was almost as bad as Batman v Superman.
Yeah, Mongol. There's an interesting choice.
Yeah, Mongol. Yeah.
Yeah.
Desaad.
Desaad, yeah.
Lobo.
Oh, Mr. Misopitalik.
Yeah, he's not really a villain though. I mean, yeah, you can be kind of bad. Yeah, he's not really a villain. But Vandal Savage. I mean, it's not really a villain because you can't kill him. I don't know. There's a lot of answers that question has.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say my big vote would have to be.
Yeah, our vote seems to be Metallo.
Yeah, I think so. So Tony, if you don't mind pulling up the assist, our new fanboy picked out tonight's retro review. It's Action Comics 471, 472, and 473. Why did you pick this story?
Because it's a 3-parter and there are 3 of us. And,
okay, that's good. Math is good.
But also Faora. That's another villain. I don't know if she's is a villain I've loved since I found these books a few years back, and it falls into one of my favorite categories on my channel of women's livers from space.
Yep.
So that's why I suggested diving into this.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, I'll get us kicked off then with the first story in issue 471. So we got the cover right there, and Superman is fighting like this mysterious form that's kind of misty-like. So, and then as we open up into the story, our splash page is kind of almost like a retelling of the cover, essentially what you're going to get in this story, where this character is saying, "You're out of your realm trying to fight me, Superman. Don't you know nothing can harm a phantom? I am as vulnerable as you." So, intriguing. Superman is tired. He just got done taking care of Hurricane Julia halfway across the Gulf of Mexico, and he's ready to fly home to his apartment and rest. And as he flies into the window, which of course is Clark Kent's apartment, he sees someone is in his apartment, and he's like, "Wait a minute. I can't let this person see Superman fly in this apartment." So it takes 2 seconds to change into Clark Kent and enter his apartment. And he wants to know who's been breaking and entering. So he uses a little bit of his powers to make a baseball on his head come crashing down on the gentleman, knocks him out unconscious for just a moment. And he goes to get some smelling salts, and as he does that, we see this mysterious form, this mist, kind of come to this gentleman who says, "It's all right, Jackson, I'm at your side again. You don't really have anything to fear." And he wakes up and he's like, "Katie, your voice is always so comforting." And then Clark is like, "Hey, don't get too comfortable. You need to do some explaining because I'm about to haul your behind into the police for breaking and entering." He's like, "I'm not a burglar, I promise you. I am your new next door neighbor." So he uses the X-ray vision, and he's kind of like, well, yeah, it looks like someone has moved into the next door. He's like, I knocked on your door to see if I could borrow a hammer. And he's like, well, this has got to beat Mr. Xavier, my previous neighbor, who turned out to be a massive villain for him. And he says there was no answer, but your door was partly open, so that's why I came in. So I might have entered, but I didn't break. And he looks at the lock with his vision, and he's like, well, he didn't break in. So he formally introduces himself as Jackson Porter. And he says how excited he is to be living next door to a big famous TV newsman, and how his wife is a huge fan of his too. So now we cut to a TV newscast on the next day, and on Clinton Street, this mysterious figure has shown up and started causing all this havoc, lifted up cars. The police try to stop this figure, and this figure bounced back with powers and caused all this chaos. And Morgan Edge is mad with a capital M, a capital A, and a capital D in bold, because you know who lives on that street? Clark Kent. And this wasn't the WGBS scoop. They missed it because Clark never called in. And he's furious. How could this happen right outside your window and you didn't do anything? And he's thinking to himself, well, that's what I get, when I tune out my super hearing when I relax. So now we cut to Clark Kent, who's been told to stay away from Morgan Edge for at least a good week or so. He's not fired, but Morgan Edge wants a break from him, definitely. And as he's heading home, he's talking to the bellman out front, and they're talking about Mr. Porter, who's just moved in next door. And the bellman makes a note that he's a widower. And he says, how could that be? He just told me that he's married and his wife was a big fan of his. And he says, no, he's been, a widower for a while. So, I don't know what to tell you there. So now we cut over inside of Jackson's apartment, and he's talking to this mysterious form, this figure again, and he says, hey, I moved next door as you instructed, Katie, my love. What should I do next? And she says, this figure says, bide your time. I must leave you now because you're about to have a visitor. And he's like, no, don't go. Then all of a sudden someone knocks on the door, and it's Clark Kent, who just stopped by. He says to say hello, but we know he's doing a little snooping. And he's like, why were your lights off? He's like, well, I'm just trying to, the high cost of electricity these days. I'm trying to save it. Outside, Clark hears disturbance going on, and there's this form out there that the people are seeing, and they're like, it's not Superman, but we kind of wish it was Superman. And he starts talking about, inside, he starts talking about his late wife, Katie, and Clark looks at a picture, and he says, she still insists on visiting me in spirit form, of course. I get advice from her, and it was her idea for me to move here. I don't know how she knew that this apartment next to yours was vacant, but she wanted me to move here. So Clark is starting to see where he can place these puzzle pieces when all of a sudden he hears these cries from help going on outside, and boom, he is gone. He has changed into Superman, and he's going to confront the spirit that's lifting up cars right now. People are freaking out, and he's going to put this spirit out of commission. And he runs down, flies down, goes to punch, and then the punch completely knocks him backwards. If you scroll down just a touch more, right there, you'll see the punch knocks him completely backwards. And he can't believe it. And so he gets up close again, does a super mighty punch, and the voice says, my, I'm surprised at you, Superman. I always thought you were a gentleman. And he's like, that voice, it's a female. And the spirit changes into a form, and she says, hey, this is no excuse to hit a woman. And he's like, I'm a Kryptonian. And he's like, I recognize you from my records. You're from the Phantom Zone. And then they explained the Phantom Zone, how the castaways from Krypton were sent there to live in this sort of form. And they actually escaped Krypton's destruction from being there. And she talks about the past few days she's been on Earth, honing in her powers, learning how they work under the sun. And she also uses an aura of Phantom Zone mist around her body to keep him from guessing who she was until she revealed herself. And she says, my master plans soon will develop, and I'll be seeing you around soon. And then she fades back into the zone. And Superman is like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? She's got as many powers. She has all the powers I have. She's cunning and sinister, and this master plan of hers has to be a killer. So she flies in this form over back to see Jackson Porter again, who believes that this is his wife, and she's thinking to herself, oh, I have to pretend to be his husband because he is very essential to the plan that I'm going to carry out, my master plan to destroy Superman. And she arrives back in, and Jackson's been calling for her, and she says, here I am, my darling. And he's like, Katie. Oh, Katie. And that ends the first story, which will be continued in The Phantom Touch of Death.
It's big, I tell you.
Yeah. So with part 2, take it away, Silver Hair Bronze Age Babe. Look at that cover.
Look at this cover. So there's Faora kicking Cal in the chin. And so he's taken it on the chin already. And the splash page is more of same. But we have to kind of go back in time for the story where Cal has actually raced off to the Fortress of Solitude to look through the basically look through his computer to find out who this person is. And you get a few panels of him looking through the computer or the Phantom Zone, a roster, so to speak. But he realizes, here we are, Faora Hull L of Alazar. Let's see what's in her crime file. Tried and convicted on the 52nd of Bailuth in the year 10,000 to 300 years in the zone for wantonly causing the death of 23 Kryptonian men in her own male concentration camp. A man-hater, it figures. FYI, this was in 1977. Women's lib, a big thing at the time.
Yes. And that song Man-Eater hadn't come out yet either.
Right. So he basically is like, oh boy, so that's who she is. What a monster. She's obviously escaped, but I'm going to have to zip back to Metropolis. There's nothing I can do wait until she shows up again. We zip back to Metropolis, to the apartment building, and there's Jackson waiting for, Katie, and he's set a beautiful table. Your wine is losing its bouquet, Katie. Please come home. And then Katie the specter kind of appears and says, I told you many times, Jackson, I have difficulty grasping physical objects. It's like, yeah, wake up, man. But I'm not going to be mad at you if you did me the favor that I asked you to do. And he said, no, I did it. I stole this thing from Clark's apartment. And so there's this glowing kind of object. And in comes Superman, who returns home, and quickly shifting our point of view, we see Superman streaking into Clark Kent's apartment at this moment, where you see a picture of the formerly alive Katie and Jackson staring at at Faora, who he thinks, oh, you're Katie, because he's so delusional. Now then, because it's a comic book, Clark is in his apartment. He's like, wait a minute, there's a glowing red infrared patch on my wall. It means one of my secret drawers have been tampered with. Again, the double entendre there, what do you do? But my heroism trophy from the planet Renzel is missing. Oh, someone stole his heroism trophy. Even though there's no earthly way for a thief to find these hidden treasures, even more puzzling. Why would a thief take only one trophy and leave behind a gleaming space jewel that looks priceless? Faora, now this, I have a hunch the two are connected, like, So then the double entendres continue when Faora is telling Jackson, like, okay, you have to concentrate really intensely. Don't let anything distract you. And take that object that you stole from Clark Kent's apartment. And then so Jackson says, I don't know why Katie asked me to rub the sculpture and think about her as hard as I could. but whatever is Katie's heart's desire, I give her. So he rubs that statue as hard as he can. And lo and behold, Faora's plan works. Whatever that magic that statue has basically helped her to materialize in the real world. And haha, the fool did it. This time I'm free from the Phantom Zone forever. Clark Kent wanders next door to say, how you doing? And no sooner is he over there when he hears Faora outside screaming for Superman. He changes into Superman. He goes outside and starts to get his butt handed to him by Faora for several pages. My favorite part is Faora's kick caused a reflex action in my Kryptonian body. There's nothing I can do to stop screaming. And his screams start shattering the glass on a skyscraper, but he decides rather than have people impaled by shards, he uses his heat vision to vaporize them. In the meantime, Faora just punches him in the butt and does all manner of things to the poor guy, and he literally has no ability to stop what she's doing to him. And then she kicks him in the rib cage, and he's just spinning helplessly. And and he realizes, you know what? It's something about that trophy. Something has gone amiss here. And Faora's like, missed it. Well, don't be angry with Porter. He removed it only because I insisted. Like all men, he has a weakness I could exploit. In his case, it was loneliness. Like, way to go, babe. Quick puff, Superman, so I can keep you just where I want you. The dreaded Phantom Zone touch of death, because she knows some kind of Kryptonian judo. And that's basically what's keeping Superman from succeeding in this thing. And basically, Superman has to give up and zip back to the Fortress of Solitude. And that's where you end this second chapter, where he's like, okay, I'm at the fortress, and I actually am going to zip myself into the Phantom Zone. So it looks like he has run away and left Metropolis to the whims of Faora. So that's the end of chapter 2.
Yeah, makes me wonder why he didn't keep that in the fortress, his trophy or whatever,
Exactly. Well, because the plot needed it to be in the apartment.
Well, that's a good thing it was there then.
Yeah, what luck.
Yeah. I do want to say hello to the art chemist who has joined us when you started, when you were in your review. So Tony's going to wrap up this story, and incidentally, I was out comic hunting this afternoon, and I did see this issue. I didn't buy it, but I did see this issue out in the wild today that Tony's going to review.
Reading my story and listening to you guys talk about your stories, it took me forever to realize this is same Faora in the Man of Steel movie.
Yeah.
I whatever reason wasn't putting those two together. Probably because it's the armor. I don't know. We're going to one of these days. I think Magic Lasso promised we're going to start reviewing Hostess ads.
We are going to do a Hostess ad.
That would be awesome.
You know what? I will go on the record and say in 2025, more so in the earlier part than the later part, we are going to do a complete Hostess ad. The thing is, I want us to try to get, I think there's 60 some DC ones. I want to do all 60.
In one day.
Well, they're only one page. They're only one page,
I tell you, I'm going to take it a step further.
Okay.
Every Hostess ad is for a different treat. I'm going to eat that treat.
Whoa, my goodness.
Like that.
There we go. Now we're talking.
Because I'm dedicated.
Yeah. Anyway, take it away, Tony.
I'm sure some of those Hostess candies that I'll be eating have been around since the 70s. They could survive a nuclear blast.
They're indestructible.
They are.
I'm saying nothing about that woman that Lady Cop was chasing after, the one that's a little ho-ho.
No way, man.
Anyway.
Getting back to our story.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Lady Cop, that's a whole nother tangent for another day. Okay, so we're back here. And yeah, almost a Lady Cop.
Lady Cop. When in doubt, just go with Lady Cop.
Just say Lady Cop. Just say Lady Cop. Yeah. Yeah. They're Faora and her, crew in the big splash page here are destroying Superman's legacy. No pun intended to the new Superman movie. Yeah, they're going after the statues, the museums. Like, they're trying to erase all aspects of Superman. They're going after, all the merchandising. And people are seeing, the fights, that these two had. And they, Jimmy Olsen and Lois Lane are, on TV talking about, all the things that are going on. Supergirl gets involved at the Fortress of Solitude. By the way, I love this big key that she's carrying. Throw it right in there,
Well, I love the fact she's like, where could he be?
Where could he possibly be? But remember, he's in the Phantom Zone. Love these ads right here. And boom, here comes Faora right out of the Phantom Zone. And she is a huge, not a nice person to the citizens of Gotham City. And I didn't know, I didn't read the other two issues, so all I got was essentially her coming out of the Phantom Zone, being this huge menace to Metropolis. I didn't know that Superman said, "Oh, a man-hater." It makes sense now because
now you get it.
she pretty much targets men exclusively. I didn't catch that. She targets men almost exclusively. But yeah, she got her goons, her Phantom Zone goons essentially, and they're erasing Superman from Metropolis. They're raising amok. They're going after the infrastructure. But right as she's able to destroy the Phantom Zone thingamabob, Superman comes out, grabs her by the hair. Great Superman move. Grabs her by the hair. I don't know why I feel like that's, Superman fighting women is one thing, but like grabbing her hair, I'm just like, whoa, Superman, like, don't turn this into a felony. She's the villain. She's the villain.
It just makes you look weak, man. You're pulling her hair.
It really does. And it reminds me of my 2-year-old who likes to pull my 5-year-old's hair just constantly. But I don't know. This image has not aged well, I feel like.
There's so many classic images in this thing. Yeah.
70s comics alone are like mean gold if someone would look into them. They
totally are. That's why they never disappoint.
I feel like her counteract where she reaches and grabs his ear is like something you might see in like a female-oriented self-defense class,
Right.
And remember, she's like some kind of, in the movie, she was a highly trained military woman, was very formidable foe. But yeah, just grabs him by the ears, throws him forward, and then she realizes this is a Superman robot with a head slice.
I love that panel with the head just flying
right off.
Yeah, right.
And the face just looks in pain.
Or is it Kryptonian DNA? I don't know. I don't know what Kryptonian DNA looks like. Some really cool ads. But she flies off. Supergirl, who's in her phantom state, sees this. And we cut back to the goons, and they're doing their goon thing. And she's again targeting men. And then another gentleman comes up to her, and just a theory for Faora. But maybe all the years I've been under the yellow rays of Earth's sun, you would have toughened my super skin. Classic Superman, reveal that he's in disguise. Lots of ads in this issue, and they say go get him. So Superman is fighting the goon squad, the Faora goon squad here, and it doesn't fare out too well. But And this is the part that I didn't understand, because out of nowhere, I got no prerequisite to this. Here comes the Justice League and their Phantom Zone state.
Yeah, that's a little shoehorny, isn't it? Like, oh God, wouldn't the Justice League kind of try and help?
Yeah, and your guys' issue didn't touch on that
Not
at all.
No,
not at all.
No.
So
you got the Power issue because you got the JLA and Supergirl.
It doesn't help me. Not when you don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a thing in this issue that I was very confused by. Also slightly confused because, especially on Green Lantern, because yellow things don't affect him or have the opposite effect or his weakness, but he's constantly around a yellow set of buildings. Which maybe I'm reading too much into it, but yeah, lots of yellow on here. But anyway, so Superman's fighting off the Goon Squad. They're trying to take him down. It's not really working. And then you have like this guy right here. Like some of the art in here is I don't know how to put it. Very 70s.
Yes.
Especially in some of their men. We get a better look at this guy right down here who's looking at this Kryptonian device. I'm going to zoom on him for just a second. Look at that glorious mustache
and the flowing hair. The big comb back, the hair, the feathered hair. I mean,
yeah,
come on, that is
because when you fight Superman, you got to do it in style,
right?
Well, you're not going to redo your hair before you go to Studio 54,
right?
No, of course not. But yeah, the Justice League, Phantom League, I guess is what we're going to call them, kind of get together and figure out how they're going to do it. Some of these Superman attacks I just love to see where he's just laying down. He's very athletic, Superman, taking on some of these bad guys, and they're campy little moves. I just love campy moves, and that's kind of one of the things I love about these old comic books is it's not necessarily like nowadays everything's like punching and stuff, but like it's not necessarily the case. We're just like spiking bad guys like footballs.
Or lying on it with hitting them with his, like he's taking a pike dive or something off a diving board and kicking him with his.
Yeah, just kick him right in the chin. Yeah, like he's a horse. You know what I mean? Horse kicks. But yeah, he's using his heat vision here to light the bad guys on fire. That's a classic Superman move. But anyway, back in the zone, the Justice Society is slowly starting to figure. Not Justice Society, Justice League is slowly starting to figure this out. And the goons are able to get the best of Superman. They're going to hold him down for Faora, and the Crazy Crabs, according to this issue, are going to get him. Yeah. And it's over. They don't know what happened really. Which I thought was, check this out. So you go from here, Superman would die. Oh, Jimmy, I can't bear to look. Right? Here's the issue. Here's this last panel. And then, boom, everything's back to normal. I mean, they talk about it. They talk about what happened. But, I want to see it. You know what I mean? I want to see that kind of artwork. But, yeah, the Goon Squad and Faora go back into the Phantom Zone. All Superman... Christopher Reeves where they see that thing falling back, which every time they talk about the Phantom Zone, I can't not see them, in the mirror going
in the mirrors,
yeah. And it'll be forever burned in my mind. But yeah, and we have a great line here since from Batman, who's totally knows everything about Faora now. He's an expert apparently, and since Fiora's psychic powers have permanently diluted him. Nothing else can make us happy. Nothing would make Porter as happy. And then they actually put the old man in the Phantom Zone. They put a civilian in the Phantom Zone with Faora, or it's Kate or Katie as he was calling him. I think it's a wonderful idea.
As her punishment is that he is going to natter at her for eternity.
Listen. Yeah. I'm married. I get it. Sometimes that wedding ring feels like a phantom zone. I get it, man. You're not gonna hear me complain. I'm on your side.
Oh,
but yeah, and that's it. You know, the Justice League is back from the Phantom Zone, and Faora and what looks like Mr. Rogers are back in the Phantom Zone, where they belong. And to answer your question, last, I'm going to change my answer. What villain would I like to see in a Superman movie is a Phantom Zone Mr. Rogers.
Okay.
The delusional.
Yeah.
The delusional widower.
Delusional widower, Mr. Rogers.
So Seeking Superman has joined us. I'm sure he's happy with our choice tonight, which was Action Comics number 471, 472, and 473.
Yeah,
So thoughts on this storyline and grades that you want to give it out of a 10 scale. Who wants to go first? Who wants to throw some input in?
I'll start because I'm an easy mark for this story, so it's a 10 for. Well, no, I'm going to give it an 8 because I think particularly in the last episode, it just kind of goes on a little longer than it should. But
you guys got half issues. I got a whole thing.
Yeah, poor Tony got like an entire, as they say then, an entire novel.
Yeah.
But it's funnier than hell. I just think it's funny. You know what I mean?
It is. It's probably not meant to be, but it is.
It's not meant to be, but it is. And so it hits my sweet spot of, Bronze Age Superman goodness with it's silly and he gets to play with the toys and there's the Phantom Zone. So I'm a man hater. My only quibble is now I really want to know what Faora's backstory is. Like, why did she have a concentration camp?
Yeah.
Why were there men in it? Why did she only kill 23 of them? I assume there were more. What
it's not really a camp if there's 23 of them, more like a concentration gathering.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like I assume she had more, but she killed only 23. There must be
that
that's
true.
survived.
Yeah. I want to know what happened to the one that would have been 24.
Right.
Maybe that was Jor-El.
Could have been. Could have been. Many Lois Lane issues, yes.
Yeah.
A couple.
A few.
Yeah.
So yeah, big thumbs up for me just because it's just such Bronze Age silliness. I can't get enough of it.
Yeah. Tony, your thoughts?
And I think I'm gonna have to agree with Sheba on this one. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. 8.5 maybe because it's not meant to be funny. Sometimes those are the best ones. The Sharknado of Superman comics, I guess. But it's weird, and I'm glad that Shebab could be part of the show because she brings an interesting perspective. Like, she was around a different generation of comics where maybe something like this, as silly as it seems back then, was like completely normal.
Oh, totally.
Versus, some of the more modern stuff, like we don't get a whole lot of like meat on the bones like these issues. We get a lot of splash pages that are huge and like it's mostly an art book essentially. Yeah. But the story is, they can cram a small story like this in like 3 issues. Versus nowadays, like a Superman run, part 12 of this particular story, and
right,
they can wrap stuff up. Yeah, they seem to be skipping some steps here, but I got to admit, when I was reading this, I kept reading her name as Fiona, and I was like Fiona, and then I kept getting flashbacks from the Shrek movie.
I was just gonna say.
So I had to read it. It's like. It's the ink. Some of these on a phone, on a tablet, it doesn't come out right. But yeah, I agree. 8 out of 10. I think the writing is on par for that generation. The artwork is always fun to look at. So yeah, 8.5.
Hi Jedi, thanks for joining us. My friend Andre from Brazil kind of tapped, I think, the real reason why Foo hasn't been on the show lately at the end of one of my videos, because we were talking about how people in Brazil are very much aware that Foo is a furry. And he said, well, he said to me, he says, well, you say he has a bad memory, right? And I said, yes. And I said, that's it. He just forgot that the show's on and he's supposed to be part of it. Yeah.
That makes sense.
So for me, I'm actually sticking completely with both of you in giving it an 8. The artwork is fun. It's just what I love. The type of story is a little bit silly in parts, but I still haven't met many Bronze Age issues that weren't friends of mine. I do want to get at least the issue that Tony reviewed, because I would want that for my Supergirl portion of my collection, because that she makes an appearance in there.
Right.
Of course, I thought they left a really good Justice League character out of the story.
You're right. Shazam wasn't in it. You're right.
Yeah.
Where's Flash when you need him?
Exactly. So I just thought it was fun, and I had never read this story before, and it was just a fun choice to go back and look at. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
One of my favorite things about some of these older issues, I don't know about you guys, but it's the ads and the letter to the editor. I love those.
That's why reading these, I look at reading, comic books from my collection as time travel, because the entire, it's not just the story. It's not just the art or the cover. It's everything. It's how the paper feels when you've got the actual book. It's the ads. It's the letter to the editor. It's how the thing smells.
Imagine if we brought that back, letters to the editor. That'd be so cool.
Oh,
to get your letter in the book. That'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, and
Marvel is actually doing that a little bit. But they're using emails.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah.
Well, and you would see people, kind of regular letter column writers, and a bunch of them from the Bronze Age ended up working there.
That's right.
I mean, it's just such an experience. It was. I always say that, like, reading Bronze Age comics or Silver and Bronze Age DC comics for me is like, it's what you stock your treehouse with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay,
There's Cool Clubhouse, and you got these books, and I think the editors back then knew that, I'm going to create, a community. This is how this book is going to feel, and what the vibe is going to be, and what the letter column's going to be. The whole thing is just, for me, a blast to my past. But also I love looking at the early Silver Age books too, that when I wasn't reading them, and those ads too are just, it's great. It's just fun, and they're funny.
Yes. Silver Age can be, especially Silver Age DC especially, can be a real interesting gamble if you don't know what you're getting into. Because you can get yourself a hit, meaning a really good book that you're like, that was good. That's a good story. I like that. Or you can get yourself a stinker. I mean, I talk about this frequently, but there's this Silver Age Wonder Woman story, and it's all about Queen Hippolyta's like, today we're going to have adventures about kites. Let's do things about kites. And everything is about kites. And I'm like, why did I pay $40 for this crappy issue about kites? That is like obviously written for a baby, And I'm like, this is horrible.
Right.
Thank you, Robert Kaniger.
Right. It isn't Fanboys if we don't
mention Robert Kaniger. But yeah, so we'll move on to our promoting our channels and doing a book show. The original Kite Man. They recently brought Kite Man back for a brief appearance in the Trinity backup story that Tom King has been writing for Wonder Woman. Yeah, he made a brief little appearance, but it actually played well into the story. So, yeah. So why don't we let our new fanboy, fangirl, fan person, do you have a book show?
I do. It's very brief.
Sure, go for it, and tell us about your channel too.
Okay. Coming up on the channel, I've got a new video that's going to drop, I think, at midnight, because you can tell it when to like
Yep.
do stuff. And I'm back down in the comic book room with a mini room tour because I've added some signed books to my comic book wall. So
Nice.
that's coming up. And Lois Lane. So Lois Lane is now being Superwoman in the current Superman book. And this is one of the variant covers for issue number 20. And because I'm just the way I am, I went and dug out the only other Superwoman cover book that I have, and this is from 1951. So 75, almost 75 years on, or separate the two. It's just interesting how the comics. We're talking 3/4 of a century. And we still got the characters and kind of put in the same situations. What are they going to do? Different. Now. So,
what issue is that of Action? The old one.
This is number 156.
156. Okay, cool.
Yeah, 156. You can't tell. I won this at Heritage.
Mm-hmm.
And it smells so bad.
Oh, really?
Oh my God. I got one of these comic capsules.
Yeah.
So that it's the only thing that hermetically seals it in here. Oh.
What is it?
So
Like,
the book was, you paid for the book and the smell was free.
I mean, I like to smell old comic books, but this.
Well, like, does it smell like a sewer or maybe some rotten eggs or something?
Like perhaps the mustiest, gross basement.
Oh, is it somebody's basement?
Yeah, somebody's basement with cigarettes. So.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah. And the only other thing I want to show is because you guys are going to have to explain this to me, but I have Magic Lasso to thank for adding these to the Lois Lane collection. So,
yes.
What are these? I bought them.
What are these?
What are these?
I showed those to you, and next thing you know, I get a reply back saying, bought them.
Right.
And now she's going, what are they?
So it's a box with nobody in it. It's like
yes, that's correct. That's correct.
My favorite is this one and it does have a wedding dress.
Yep.
I want to say, so that's good. But on the front of this, it says, for collectors, 30 and up.
You better not be selling those to any 29-year-olds.
Yeah.
So Mego doll, I don't get it. Why am I buying what?
Well, I didn't necessarily think that you were going to buy that when I sent that to you. I thought you would be interested in seeing it because of the artwork.
No, well, come on, it's Lois Lane. I'm going to get it.
So these are not official.
Okay.
Just put that out there.
Yeah.
But those are what are called repo boxes, reproduction boxes.
Okay.
So for those, there's a whole fandom of people that have custom action figures made. And if you have that, these are your boxes for them. They also do reproduction of boxes that were originals, like back in the day, and then they did some boxes for like this, which there never was a Lois Lane action figure for this.
Right.
But if you created a custom one or made a custom one, now you have a box for it.
Okay.
That's
had
cool.
No idea.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. Never seen that before.
And they have them on like so many characters, and they have so many options for the characters too,
It's insane.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. So this Lois Lane fan, of course, I had to get every single one of Lois Lane that they had. So
Yeah.
I'm thrilled to own it.
Okay, now that you know what it is.
Now do I have to like
Well, I was about to ask you, are you going to get a custom Lois? I think it would be cool if you actually got a Lois in a wedding dress to put in that box.
How do I do that?
Well, you're going to have to find someone that does that. And that's a huge community in itself.
Really? Okay.
Yes. There's a huge community. And some people, do them for the enjoyment of having them in their collection. Some people do it to profit from it, because they enjoy doing it. And some people aren't like me. I wouldn't be as talented enough to be able to make the outfits or do the custom painting or the hair rooting or.
Oh my God. Okay.
Like they take a real action figure of a different character and transform it so much you had no idea that action figure was ever a Barbie or Scarlet from G.I. Joe or whoever,
Got it. Well, you've sent me down another rabbit.
I was going to say, that sounds like a rabbit hole I do not want to get, or a bug that I don't want to bite me.
Run.
Yeah, I'm out. Just enjoy the boxes.
That's the plan.
Okay, good.
Well, thank you. I think they're great, and
I'm glad you liked them. Like I said, I just showed them to you because I thought you'd get a kick out of them. And next thing you know, I get this reply: ordered. Check mark.
So when you got the boxes, were you like, hey? Someone screwed me out of a toy.
Well, I knew from ordering it. It's they're very clear. You get a box.
I guess the description fits the product.
Yeah, I know. So it's like I know I'm just getting a box, but I'm just not
what's going to go in that box?
Nothing's in it, and they're not going to sell me anything that goes with it.
That's very strange. Very strange.
But it's comic book land, so things are strange.
What I suggest you do, or maybe not do. You could decide which one do or not do. Maybe when the show's over or tomorrow morning or whatever over your coffee, do a Google search for custom Lois Lane action figures and see what you get.
See what I come up with. Okay.
But it might be cool just for you to see what people have made for themselves.
Sure. I didn't know this existed.
Oh, that's huge. Actually, that's a huge part. It's a branch off of the comic book collecting, on the tree, but it's huge. It's a good branch.
It's a shoot. Gosh darn it, magic. Now what?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, he sends me some stuff on Instagram too, and there's some things I've been like, man, is that for sales? I'll buy it like right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time it's not, thank God.
Yeah.
I actually I bought some. Have you heard of the comics on coffee? So I actually I got a couple of those things because I wanted the Superman mug and the Wonder Woman mug and the Batman mug, and so I had a box of like the K-Pods, and my sister-in-law was here for Thanksgiving, and we have the K-Pods next to the coffee machine. And she's like, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, look, I got this." She's like, "You are such an easy mark." It's got Superman on it. I'll buy.
Yeah. Mr. Tony, what's going on your channel, and what do you have for a book show?
On the channel, I was at a new old comic book shop. I say new because they moved locations. Really, they're the same store, and they had mystery boxes. And there it is, right behind me, right here. This Venom box.
Oh,
and they had a couple chasers in there. I got lucky. I did get a chaser. I think I don't know anything about Marvel books, but
are they all Marvel?
DC, no, it's mixed DC, Marvel, Indie. There's some good books in there too. So I did an unboxing for that. That's tomorrow morning, about 11:30. As for a book show,
hi Ben.
I'm a big fan of the foils, obviously. So I got the Superman foil logo, and it's funny that she showed a Lois Lane issue because this is also Lois Lane as Superwoman.
Yep.
which is great. Action Comics, issue whatever, I forget what it is, but I got the and I've been collecting those hero. I don't know what they're gonna call them, but the Daniel Sempre. He did all the artwork for these character foils. So
yeah, I ended up with that one too, and
you did get this one.
Yeah, okay. It's good looking, because I don't really foil schmoil, but that one is so sharp. It really is.
It is. We'll see. Maybe there was a Harley book in there. I don't know. You have to check it out. You have to watch the whole thing. through and through. But yeah, that's all I got, and then just my regular shorts. I'm a government employee. I don't go back to work till Wednesday, so I don't know what I'm going to do with myself with all this extra time off.
What to do? Oh, no.
That's the second time he's rubbed it in on this show.
Yeah. Oh, it's driving my wife nuts.
She's like, when do you go back to work?
Yeah. So let me tell you what's on my socials. Usually I don't talk about my Instagram, but today I posted my 950th Instagram post. Sarah, did you see that by chance?
I did.
And what did I share?
I'm old and I forget things, but I liked it, right?
Oh, I'm sure you did. I shared my man thing.
Yes. That
was... Not my giant size one, just my regular one.
How did you forget? You hearted it, yeah.
I hearted the man.
She hearted my man thing.
And I also laughed at it.
Well, thank you, I think. So, I don't know if my man thing was supposed to be laughed at, but...
I laughed at them.
It elicited a response, and I guess that was the purpose of posting it.
Hey, engagement is engagement, you know?
That's right. Yes. It's been a long time since my man thing was engaged.
I've said this before, but anytime I'm feeling low, I go back to that video of us talking about the giant size man thing.
Yeah.
And I cheer up immediately.
Yeah, it was something.
As long as we're bonding over Lasso's man thing.
Yeah. That's what it's there for. So on my channel, I did I always like to talk about what's already on my channel. My back issue of the week YouTube short was about Moon Knight and some A-list Marvel guest stars that appeared in this issue. So that's on my channel already. My comic book editions video currently on my channel. Oh, so many AOKs in that. I had a leftover one from Andre from Brazil that I shared. Old Signature King there, he AOK'd me something else again, even though he recently just did. Anachronic Comics, Mr. Joe sent me Silver Age Justice League that I needed for my collection, which was awesome. And then some other things that I shared, including Hallmark has these DC Comics ornaments, mystery ornaments, and you don't know what character you get until you open it. And they're not even in a bag, they're in like a cylinder. So you can't even feel around to try to see the shape. So I did some unboxing on those as well.
That's a great unboxing, by the way.
Yeah, seeing you wrestle with that thing was I was like, oh God, he's gonna break it.
I know, that's what I thought. Yeah, then the look on my face when I opened the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the best part. I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be funny if?
It was funny, all right. So on my channel, that's what's on my channel already. Coming up on my channel, back issue of the week YouTube short tomorrow morning, Blue Devil. So there's a DC hero that I've never featured. So tomorrow morning that will drop on the channel. Tuesday I have, because I already promised this in last week's video, I have an all Spider-Man haul for Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, some Bronze Age books that I've added into the collection. So that's what's coming up on the channel. And in the near future, an AOK unboxing from Silver-Haired Bronze Age Babe. All of a sudden this box arrived that I wasn't expecting. And I'm like, oh man.
I found stuff that he needed in his collection. So
absolutely. Christmas, you'll see Christmas come early in that video, which will be coming soon. As for book show, I was only going to show one thing, and then Tony said something in tonight's show that made me add something else in. So I'm going to show my original thing first. Well, not my man thing, but my original thing. And then I'm going to show what Tony inspired me to get. So have you all been Christmas shopping lately at all this week? Last few days?
Needles.
Cyber Mondays tomorrow,
okay.
So that's what I do.
Well, Target's got some wrapping paper.
Oh, no. Okay.
That's cool.
Look, we got Green Lantern and Batman.
Nice.
And Wonder Woman and Superman. So
I'm going to have to get people presents just so I can wrap them in there.
Just so you can wrap them, yeah.
I like it.
Heck, get some empty boxes and just wrap it as part of your decorations down in the Shabab cave.
Yeah, there you go. I like
it. You could use it as wallpaper.
Wallpaper. You know, people have been telling me to put something on my wall.
Hey, there we go.
That's actually a good idea.
That's not a bad thought.
So what I picked that to show that I wasn't going to, and I didn't even think about it until Tony mentioned something tonight in the show, and during his book show, I just walked away and got it. Tony likes the Fortress of Solitude key, he said. So, Sarah, do you know what I'm going to show?
Not sure. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Big old treasury with Superman and the key.
It's a different Fortress of Solitude. The key's different.
Oh, no, that's the same key. No, it's the same key.
It's just from a different
perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see it now.
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to use a key. So he's
I don't.
And just in case you're wondering, because these treasuries usually have wraparound artwork.
Nice.
And in case you're wondering, there is a clear backing board in here, too.
For a treasury size?
For treasury size.
Wow, that's sharp.
Out.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I just love treasury size as well. I think that's so cool.
That's great.
That looks sharp. I've never seen one on a treasury before.
Yeah. So...
Did it come that way, or did you have to
order not come
the
that way.
bag and board from someplace?
Yeah, I had to order the bag and the clear board from another place. Hey, Dan has stopped by as well. So, hey, Dan, thanks for stopping by.
Dan the man.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's my book show portion. There's we would love to know for you to do a virtual book share with us on Instagram, share a cover or anything that you'd like to. If that's Action Comics or Superman related or anything we talked about, that's even better. Use the hashtag Fanboys Live in the Retro Review so we can make sure that we see your contributions. So that would be awesome. We've left links for the entire panel and soon to be updated with our latest fangirl because we didn't want to give it away ahead of time in the description for this video. Thank you to everyone who's joined us in the live chats. Oh, you got I'm curious, Dan, tell me, what have you gotten? Marvel, DC, what characters? I'm just curious. So, and Sarah, did you know, I think Tony knows this because we talked about it. Did you know that there's a facsimile treasury coming for the Superman Flash race?
I did know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think I ended up selling mine in my purge.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard to find at the time. So I'm glad for other people to get to experience the Flash Superman races, and particularly in that big format. I mean, that facsimile is going to be a good purchase for Flash and Superman fans, really.
Yeah, I think so too. So, yeah. So sub everyone up that's in the chat. Oh, we got the Superman Ali. That's such a classic one to get.
Yeah. I mean, just the Neil Adams artwork throughout that is so stellar.
Could you imagine if Neil was still here? Because they did a blank sketch variant of that.
Yeah.
The stuff he would have been drawing on that cover. I mean, that his commission list would have just shot up even further.
Someone would have replaced Muhammad Ali with Jake Paul. Someone would have done it.
Yeah.
Well, his daughter Zia did some stuff on those sketch covers. One of them she did, and she sold them, I think, already. But she does voodoo doll characters.
Yeah.
And one of them she did the voodoo doll Superman and Ali shaking hands, like the last
that's
image
nice.
of the book. She put that on the cover, and she did a one where. She did a wraparound where Voodoo Superman is getting kicked through space. And it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So,
yeah.
But
Dan
go ahead.
I was just going to say, Dan said he got the Spider-Man and Superman. I'm asking him if it's the first or the second one. I have the second one. I don't have the first one. I take it back. I have the Portuguese version of the first one. But I need to get the first one. So
can I tell you, back in the day, because I'm so old. When that Superman Spider-Man thing came out, it was such a big deal. It was such a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's a really good story, and it's again another fun thing to read big. You know, it benefits from the treasure size.
And so here's my Brazilian version. You talk about it, how great it reads big. How about reading it small? Because that's the Brazilian version of it. It's tiny.
Russ, Super Russ.
Super Russ is here, right as we get ready to wrap up. Super Russ, you'd probably enjoy this retro review tonight because it's on The Dude.
It's on the
Lebowski?
Yeah, it is.
What story did you guys read?
Well, that brings us to the end of tonight's Fanboys Live and the Retro Review. Thank you all for being a fantastic chat. Remember, you'll find Sarah Silver Hair Bronze Age Babe on our first show every month automatically on Fanboys, effective tonight. So,
yay.
Our latest Fanboy. So,
thank you again, you guys. This is great.
Awesome. Everyone, have a great week. Have a great month, too. We're already in December. And stay warm. Be well, and we look forward to visiting with you again next week. Until then, take care and good night.